Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at an absolute masterclass approach to modern policymaking. We're going to break down exactly how actionable policy insights were crowdsourced during a really critical economic turning point for Australia. It's a fascinating case study of a key government advocate teaming up with an AI-powered platform to gather the precise data needed to guide a massive economic transition. Let's get right into it. So, how do you find out what small businesses actually need? I mean, it sounds like a straightforward question, right? But in reality, it's an immense real-world challenge. Small business owners are notoriously time poor. They're often surviving on coffee and sheer willpower, pulling these wild 80-hour work weeks. So gathering accurate, widespread, and most importantly, honest data from them, that's historically a massive hurdle for any policymaker trying to formulate effective legislation. And this challenge became incredibly urgent in March of 2021 with the end of the JobKeeper program. JobKeeper was a massive national economic subsidy, and its conclusion was a huge catalyst. Suddenly, the landscape was changing practically overnight, and there was an absolute pressing necessity to find out what assistance, if any, businesses required next from the federal government just to survive the transition. The old ways of guessing or relying on outdated data, they simply wouldn't cut it anymore. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the JobKeeper cliff. Second, the innovators. Third, guaranteeing honest feedback. Fourth, driving the discussion. Fifth, campaign results. And finally, shaping future legislation. All right, Section 1, the JobKeeper cliff. The agency leading the charge here had to figure out precisely what small businesses and family enterprises needed moving forward. Their 2021 goals were very clear. First, completely understand these emerging needs. Second, use that understanding to provide direct, data-backed input into government policy. And third, tangibly shape the regulations in a post-JobKeeper world. They weren't just looking for anecdotes. They needed systemic, scalable data to actually take to the lawmakers. Section 2, the innovators. First up, the ASBFEO. That's the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman. Now, they aren't just an advisory board. They're an independent advocate armed with real legislative powers. Their whole mandate is to ensure legislation is put in place to help small and family enterprises grow. And they also step in to assist when businesses find themselves in disputes. So they absolutely have the power to make a difference, provided they have the right data. To get that data, ASBFEO sought out Mindhive. Founded back in 2017, Mindhive is an award-winning platform driven by AI technology, and its core function is harnessing the power of collective problem-solving. It connects this vast network of thought leaders and independent talent to democratize and accelerate innovation. Basically, it cuts straight through the noise. ASBFEO recognized that to uncover the right insights quickly for this real-world problem, they needed a platform designed specifically to foster high-level national discussion. Section 3. Guaranteeing honest feedback. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this specific quote from the case study. SBFEO allows respondents to participate without being identified under an incognito profile. Honestly, this was a masterstroke in survey design. When you're dealing with businesses, especially those who might be facing serious financial distress or regulatory hurdles, there is often a huge fear of speaking out. By ensuring respondents could use incognito profiles, they totally removed that fear. It gave business owners the psychological safety to share their raw, completely honest thoughts on a national platform without ever worrying about professional repercussions. Moving on to Section 4, driving the discussion. So how did they pull this off? Well, they used a very deliberate, systematic, three-tiered marketing approach to build engagement. Step 1 utilized social media and paid ads to directly engage the public and cast a really wide net. Step 2 involved running parallel EDM or electronic direct mail campaigns, but initially they specifically targeted highly active Mindhive members. Then came Step 3, the expansion phase. This used a broader EDM campaign to draw a larger crowd, combined with remarketed ads targeted specifically at folks who had already visited the discussion page. Let's contrast those first two steps, because the strategy here is just brilliant. The initial wide net of social and paid media drew in over 100 participants from diverse professions, and that resulted in 27 comments, which is a solid start for sure. But look at the targeted initial EDM. They sent this not to everyone, but to a highly curated list of just 265 engaging Mindhive members. Why? to seed the conversation. They knew these specific members were the exact people expected to drive the conversation forward and post high-quality ideas that would later resonate with a much wider audience. It's kind of like planting the best seeds first. Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 5, Campaign Results. This brilliantly illustrates exactly why community seeding works. That targeted EDM to just 265 active members had a staggering 54.3% open rate, alongside a 25.9% click rate. I mean, over half the people opened it. When they later rolled out the broader secondary EDM campaign to a massive list of over 5,000 people, the open rate normalized to 18.8%. Both are absolutely vital. One builds the foundation of high-quality interaction, and the other scales the reach once the room is already buzzing with great ideas. Which leads us to this pivotal number, 5,000. Through this combination of social media, paid ads, strategic remarketing, and targeted emails, the campaign ultimately generated awareness, engagement, and actual comments from over 5,000 people. And these weren't just from one single sector. They came from a highly diverse range of professions and industries. This gave policymakers exactly the broad, comprehensive data set they desperately needed. Finally, Section 6, Shaping Future Legislation. So the crucial point is the outcome. By the end of the campaign, ASBFEO had successfully gained actionable insights directly from the source regarding the real challenges businesses were facing. Because of the sheer volume and quality of the data, they were able to clearly prioritize which areas needed the most attention and exactly what type of assistance businesses required. Most importantly, it gave them everything they needed to fulfill their mandate, providing highly valuable, data-driven inputs to shape specific legislation for small businesses and family enterprises. The success of this methodology really speaks for itself. This wasn't just a one-off experiment either. ASBFEO is continuing its ongoing partnership and collaboration with Mindhive moving forward. They have essentially built a brand new, modernized pipeline for crowdsourcing civic and economic policy. I want to end today's explainer with this final provocative thought. How might other sectors use AI collective problem-solving to shape their own legislation? We've just seen how effectively it worked for small business advocacy, using incognito profiles and targeted community seeding to generate thousands of actionable insights. Imagine this applied to healthcare, urban planning, or education reform. The blueprint is right there, and the potential to democratize how laws are made is absolutely enormous. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating case study, and I highly encourage you to think about how these tools might reshape the industries you care about most.